Come in, my old true love, and spend this night with me, for I have a bed, it's a very fine bed, I'll give it up for thee, I'll give it up for thee. I can't come in, no I ain't. I was 17 years old and had taken Granny and Burzell and Kaz and Virgie Walling and Inez Chandler to a round robin. There were like 50 chairs, you know, in this big circle, and a ballad singer in every chair. I mean, I was real self-conscious, and because I, for one, was the youngest person in the circle, but I started singing it, and I got about 3 verses into it and lost my place and forgot the next verse and was so embarrassed. And it was really funny because when I faltered, there were like 5 voices that picked it up right there and started talking it out all in unison. And so that's kind of how I got started.
What's this, cried little Matthew Groves as he sat up in bed. I fear it is your husband's men, and I will soon be dead, dead, and I will soon be dead. Oh, lay back down, little Matthew Groves, and keep my back from cold. It's nothing but my father's men calling their sheep to fold, calling their sheep to fold.
You know, some people's family, they're ballerinas, or some people play football, and you know, that's like or some people are cops. That's what their family thing is. This is our thing. This is what we do. We used to go up to Granny Dale's, and they'd have parties and sing, and everybody would pick and dance and everything, like Sheila and John Dedrick and
Peter Gott,
David Holt, and all them. I used to live in Granny Dale's house in 91 and 92, and we had no running water in it, no hot water heater, we had electricity, no bathroom. You know, we used the outhouse. And wringer washing machine, I mean, it was just like stepping in a time capsule. People didn't have all the TV and video games and stuff to babysit their kids. They had to entertain them other ways.
She's really my great aunt by marriage, Deli Chandler Norton. It was so much a part of their everyday life. You know, they sung when they were working, they sung when they were playing. And I don't really remember somebody saying to me, now this is real important that you learn this because it's going to die out if you know, I don't remember that at all. But I do remember, and I've said before, that the voices from my childhood were just as liable to be singing as they were talking.
It's some folks says there's a flower you can find will cure false love and ease your mind. And out in these flowers I made my bed, and out in these leaves a pillow for my head. It's a gathered red and a gathered blue until I...
They work as follows. After pillow for my head, she goes right into gathered red. I've gathered a number on the film. I gathered. And out these flowers I made for my bed, and out of these leaves a pillow for my head.
Well, when I started looking for the old footage of the end of an old song, all my outs and trims, well, I'd put them away in 1969 or so. And I've searched all over this house and all the barn, and I finally found them way up here with a bunch of stuff. Rusted, but it says EOS. Good luck. Well, Peter Gott is the one who got me into Madison County, and it was Peter's searching for a place to learn how to play the banjo, and where people played banjos and made banjos, and where the music was what he was looking for. Well, he searched all around, and he ended up in Madison County.
I think I was, my next to last year at college, I was in a record store hunting for some kind of good banjo records, and I heard exactly what I wanted in the booth next to me. You know, they let you play the records then. And one of them had Aubrey Ramsey singing Pretty Polly and Little Maggie, you know, and picking, and I thought that was the best thing I ever heard in my life. I cut all the rest of my classes. I didn't study for finals or anything. I just listened to those records. And when we moved to Madison County, I didn't even know Aubrey lived here. He's just down the road. But that proved to me that this was the place. We saw two men standing by their mailbox, and the old man, the father, saw my banjo in the back of our Volkswagen and asked if I'd play a tune. So I got it out and I played Violin Cabbage Down, and he jumped out in the middle of the road, he whooped and hollered, and he danced, and he gave me 50 cents. That was Lee Wallen and his son Doug. Well, about a year went by. Doug started to sing, and he sang the most beautiful ballads. I think it was Young Emily and Youthful Morning. After about maybe another year, Brazil sang a song. I hadn't thought about her singing, but of course, it makes sense. She was Doug's mother. So she started singing, and we'd go, and I didn't, I had a tape recorder, but I didn't bring it. But I didn't need to record them, because if I wanted to hear them, I could just go and hear them.
Well, Peter had done one recording of some of the folks around him. So I heard those recordings, and then I heard some of the other people on it. I said, well, these are incredible ballads. Are you going to do more with this? And then, no, I just want it for myself. I said, but you should do it really well. Well, this is okay. This is okay. So then I said, well, do you mind? Maybe I could make some better quality, or good, not better, but good quality recordings, because I think people should hear this. Well, in 1963, sitting on Lee Wallen's porch, and all the folks were there, Doug Wallen and Dillard Chandler, and I liked Dillard singing. So for me to ask him to record, it was this big wall of silence, not resistance, but what is it? What is this for? And I remember I got down on the floor in front of him with the tape recorder, and it was just an old plug-in-the-wall Tanberg. It wasn't the Nagra yet. They didn't have Nagras yet. And it felt like I was there an awfully long time trying to explain to him why he should sing from my microphone. It was just something about the music that I was trying to say. It would be so good if other people could hear it.
Like a maid ought to do. Well, he says, my little honey, won't you come to bed too?
Granny's generation, they called all of them love songs, and I think that was to distinguish between what they call meeting house songs, which was the religious songs, and then these that had kind of the plot always had to do with some sort of unrequited love or ruined love or love that didn't work out,
They were ballads, but it didn't matter what the subject was about. Trains wrecking, ships sinking in the deep blue sea, or girlfriends cutting their boyfriend's guts out. If they weren't religious, they were known as love songs.
The song that I'm going to sing is one that I learned from Doug Wallen, and it is called Down in the Willow Garden. It's a murder ballad, which a lot of people seem to have a fascination with.
Love song.
Yeah, it's a love song. Down in the willow garden, where me and my love did meet, while we sat a-courting, my love dropped off to sleep. I had a bottle of burgundy wine, which my true love did not know. And there I poisoned that dear little girl down on the banks below. I stabbed her with a dagger, which was a bloody knife. I threw her in the river, which was an awful sight.
Well, I worked with a woman named Helen Levitt on the editing, but I would find shots for her, we'd hang them up, and just string them back together and throw them into a can. And then there's just some kind of indication. This is outs. This says Down Road. So it must be the soundtrack for Down the Road. And where's the picture? Down the road. So possibly, this doesn't look like it's long enough, but let's see if there's another Down the Road. Down the road. So the wheels are turning. Let's see. This is the critical one now. Where's the light? Oh no. Oh no, that was the sound. Hey! Spider crap on the, oh well, on the screen there. But that's it.
I still think about them pretty girls I used to have back then. I could get just any of them I wanted back then. They'd all come to see me every once in a while. They'd all might not.
All the years before, ballad singers were always done by classically trained people, or a few Library of Congress singers of ballads, but the songs are rightfully in front. But here, to see these people in their setting, and they were such interesting people, that I thought that should be communicated on film. In other words, it wasn't just the song, it wasn't just the text. Mostly ballads have been studied for their texts and this variant and that variant. And I was always trying to put a human face to the music.
Got up this morning, put my shoes on wrong. Short time here, honey, but a long time gone. Got up.
It was Lomax. He was all over the place. I know he had done all the important work. Everything that he was doing is important. Everything I was doing had nothing, we could never approach what Lomax was doing. So it kind of cleared the air. I'm doing this for myself on my own scale. I was making films and recordings of people who weren't interested in making recordings. They hadn't desired to go out. They hadn't desired to be on film. And maybe that's what made it interesting.
Down the road, it's a letter from down the road.
There's Dillard.
Take Keith, now take Sal, I'm gonna have me John and gal. Down the road, I can't get a letter from down the road. A little black rooster sitting on the fence, my little woman ain't got no sense. Down the road, I can't get a letter from down the road.
Over in Sodom, what you had was this entire community that was singing and making music. Now, they were all related in one shape, either by marriage or, like I said, by blood or both. And as a result of that, instead of the tradition being sort of passed down through just one family, it was passed down and traded back and forth, swapped songs and that sort of thing within the whole community.
Here we have Dee Dee Norton Butler. Dee Dee is also my stepdaughter.
She's my sister.
And Denise's sister, okay.
My niece.
And Joe's, okay.
There'll be a test on this later.
Yeah, right. You've got to connect all the family trees before you're allowed to leave today. Makes me feel good to know that, there's the young people are really blossoming now in the field. And it's not going to die out as those of us who are getting a little bit older start kind of fading on the vine, Yeah. Anyway, it's good to have Dee Dee here today, and she's a wonderful singer too. And I'm really proud of her.
My great-grandmother used to sing this song, Dally Norton, and she used to say it's a true song. It's about a boy dying and his mother taking care of him. I'm dying, mother, dying now. Please raise my aching head and fan my heated, burning brow. Your boy will soon be dead. Turn o'er my pillow once again and kiss my fevered cheek. You guys are getting there for like a real down-home experience about how ballads are sat around and sung and stuff with the kids. This is how it really happens. This is how we all learned it anyway. So.
Dee Dee and I used to go with Mammy and them up to Aunt Brazil's and Doug Wallen and all them. I couldn't even read. and I'm singing Little Ma He, and Dee Dee's in the background reading the words to me, and I'm singing the song. So, I mean, we've been singing like this for a long time. It's been just like I said, and it's in our blood. Granny Dale and Sheila and them went to Washington. Well, I had to stay with Aunt Jane. And at first it made me mad because I didn't want to go stay with nobody, you know. But then the World's Fair in '82, now that was cool. I was like, my great-grandma's singing and my Aunt Evelyn, you know. So I'm like, yeah.
After Deli reached a certain age and she had been recorded by John Cohen and Alan Lomax and sung in some folk festivals, she and the other people, I think, in the community all began to see that there was also a very quantifiable monetary value that their music especially had, but to a different degree, their lifestyle also. And I think that that was a real radical change from certainly the way things had been.
Wherever they would go, somebody would inevitably come up to them and say, I heard you on this record that John Cohen put out. Well, to them, it started to sound like there were millions of these records out there because everywhere they went, somebody would say, oh, look here, I've got this record with your picture on it.
Doug Wallen was the one who gave me the clue that something was very amiss. He started off by saying, that record you made of my parents, he says, that's all over the place. Everybody I know has copies. And I saw one in Marshall. It's probably all over the country on jukeboxes everywhere. And you're keeping our money. Well, that was a big shock to me to hear that perception of it.
Doug said, boys, you're welcome to come here anytime and we'll feed you and treat you good and talk to you good, but I don't want any more recording. Well, John wouldn't take no for an answer. And he kept begging until finally Doug lost his temper and took a swing at him. And he said, get out of here and don't ever come back. And that goes for both of you. Well, for me, it was the end of a beautiful friendship, not just with Doug, but his whole family. I never went back.
The people over there were mad because John Cohen had come, and I don't know if some of them thought that he had promised them some royalty money for singing for him. And some of these things had validity and some of them didn't. And most of it was a big misunderstanding. They just didn't understand how it worked.
When I first come to this country in 1849.
Well, I feel very good that the record did something in Madison County. It got the word out that these were a good bunch of singers and that other people heard them and came in and did more with it. And they did more, and that made the local people more interested in what they already had. It also made them proud. And then they started getting invitations to go to festivals and sing here and do something with the state and do something in the National Endowment and get these rewards and awards and get a reputation. Now I don't think that would have happened if Peter and myself hadn't done what we did.
I think John Cohen's contribution is, and Peter Gott shares the part of the spotlight on that too, is if it hadn't have been for them, these people's lives would have been played out and nobody would ever have known.
A soldier traveling from the north, does the moon shine bright and clearly, the lady knew the gentle.
See, the tradition of singing the love songs is completely out of context to the culture now, because the culture that it came out of and that fostered, and sort of nurtured it, that culture is now gone. But if you can take it and actually make it a part of you and a part of your everyday life, whether Denise sings to her little boy, going to driving back and forth to soccer practice like I used to do with mine, or whether, you know, she's sitting on the porch over at Granny's. I mean, what difference does it make as long as, you know, as long as this next generation grabs hold of it?
Kaz Wallen, Lee Wallen, Lee Wallen, Dillard Chandler, Dillard Chandler, Dillard Chandler.
Leisha.
Whoever Leisha Shelton is.
Leisha.
And Leisha.
Not Lisa, but Leisha.
There's Leisha and Leisha. That's Brazil.
Is it?
And that's
Some guy.
Wasn't she my aunt or something?
Brazil.
Or something.
Well, yes, because she was Deli's sister. So she would have been your
great aunt.
Great aunt.
Okay, I don't know.
Donna. Okay, Donna is your what cousin?
I'm her aunt. She's
You're
my
her
cousin.
own.
I am her cousin.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You're my cousin on my Nana's side, and you're my aunt on my grandpa's
Classic
side.
Madison County.
Here you go.
Our captain fell in love, pretty Peggy, oh. Our captain fell in love, pretty Peggy, oh. Our captain fell in love with a maiden like a dove, and they call her name pretty Peggy, oh. What would your mother think, pretty Peggy, oh? What would your mother think, pretty Peggy, oh? What would your mother think to hear the guineas clink? What would your mother think, pretty Peggy, oh?
I did not like to hear my mom sing it. It was so embarrassing for me. And I'd like go out of the room, you know, and cover my ears or something. So, but Sheila, I loved to hear Sheila sing. She was just so funny, and she was always my favorite.
Well, I wished I was a poet and could write some fine hand. I would write my love a letter that she might understand, and I'd send it by the waters where the islands overflow, and I'll think of my darling wherever.
Sheila's been hot after me since I was 13 years old to sing. Yeah. And so, you know, I just told her when I hit 30, you know, I'm like, that would be a nice memory to have somebody say after I'm gone, well, you know, I heard this girl sing this song. And she learned it from, she's an 8th generation ballad singer. You know, that's just cool. Because, you know, Granny Dale was what, 6? So we would be 8th. Dee Dee and I would be 8th. And Amanda would be 9th. So.
And me, I'd be 8th too, wouldn't I?
No, you're on a different branch of the tree, honey.
Yeah. When I was single, to marry was my crave. Now I am married, I'm troubled to my grave. I wish I was a single girl again. Lord, Lord, don't I wish I was a single girl again. When I was single, I was so afraid that no one would ever wed me, and I'd die a sour old maid. I wish I was a single girl again. Lord, Lord, don't I wish I was a single girl again. When I was single, he used to come to court. He always brought me candy, and I thought he was a sport. I wish I was a single girl again. Lord, Lord, don't I wish I was a single girl again. When I was single, went dressed oh so fine. Now I am married, go ragged all the time. I wish I was a single girl again. Lord, Lord, don't I wish I was a single girl again.